But yeah, I think CPL's been great. Like it's been giving me an experience. Like I know it's just like custom games, right? And in the end, it doesn't really matter, right? I'm not gonna be making cash or anything off my results, but it's still really fun to play for a team and have like a quote unquote like like a pseudo competitive environment to play in. Because like for players like me who are like 1600 at best, you know, I don't really get to participate in stuff like Have At You and things like that, where or at least like have a meaningful competition against people who are in a somewhat similar MMR bracket. So this has been a lot of fun.
Yes, I would absolutely echo everything you said. To talk just to give us a little introduction, we got let me introduce oh, we got the TVT, cool. Scaramanga is playing as the Teal Terran in the bottom right. Oh my god, his uncle died? I am very sorry. Unless it's the uncle, like... Can I say something? Arya has an uncle who stabbed somebody to death. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that or not. So he has an uncle. Arya had an... He's telling me about... He had an uncle... Was it an uncle or
I thought that was AOT.
Oh yeah, wasn't it AOT? AOT
yeah,
did
it was
have
AOT.
Somebody. AOT had somebody, but I think Arya had somebody as well.
What is going on, man? Uncles are...
They're
just
terrible.
Yeah, apparently, like my little brother's never gonna have kids because he's gay, right? So I guess I'm in the clear. I'm not gonna stab anyone.
He might adopt.
Is that like a prerequisite for stabbings?
Well, you have to be an uncle.
Yeah, so I think I'll be good. Yeah, he could adopt, I guess. But I don't know, does that fulfill that requirement, like for stabbing, or is it like a genetic thing? Like
I'm not sure what the rules are.
I think I'm in the clear. I feel like I'm pretty good.
Yeah. Scaramanga went he went 8 racks. So he's trying to get some damage done early in the game, which is perfectly understandable. He's just sending out scouts to both corners and doing a bunker rush.
Yeah, low ground bunker rush.
Little bit confused by that. I mean, normally in TVT, your opponent gets 1 Marine. So, you know, if you have 3 Marines, obviously you can basically bully him if you're Marines.
Yeah.
So I thought he would
especially
just go
since the bunker's down here.
Oh, I know what he's gonna do. He's gonna try to get Arya to pull, and then when Arya goes down the ramp, he'll run into the bunker.
He'll find the bunker. Yeah. This is kind of clever.
I don't... Okay, so he does pull a couple of SCVs down the ramp. But...
Well, it's doing a lot of damage here. Even if the SCVs aren't really getting, like, they're not like getting damage done though. They're just kind of like dancing around at the top with kind of funky, because they got these big old bodies, right? And they just kind of like run into each other a bunch. So, I mean, he's forced a couple of SCVs up here, but shouldn't he just? I mean, he could just put them kind of blocking off this ramp here, and then he'd have ramp advantage to defend versus this couple of Marines in the bunker. But
I don't know why he went Vulture first. I mean, let me rephrase that. I do know why Vulture is good against
Marines.
Yeah, it's good if you've got Marines, because they have a longer range than Marines, and so, you know, you can keep the Vulture moving around and use the patrol micro to kill the Marines.
Yeah, they're repairable too if you have any damage on them. But honestly, with knowing that he had the bunker down there, I would have liked to maybe see a tank first, so that way he could take this bunker out nice and easy, and you know, be able to take his expansion a little more quickly. Because he's gonna need to have the tank to break that contain down at the bottom. But he is deciding to create a high ground command center, so this isn't bad. At least he gets his command center started. He'll just have to take a little extra time to float it down there. Now that tanks are on the way, he should be able to break through this bunker contain here.
Well, there's no rush to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a bit of a rush, but I mean, obviously you don't want to get contained yourself. But
I like Scaramanga's
I think that
decision to go
sending
for
one
CC
tank
before
down there
factory
is
here.
one tank is like so dangerous.
Scaramanga opted to go for CC before his factory, to kind of maybe make up a little bit for the economic hit he took by going for 8 racks. Oh, this is a little, I was gonna say, taking a little too much damage on that tank originally. They're getting in range of the bunker here. But overall, he's been in a pretty good spot. I think he's pretty much stabilized at this point.
See where we at? So Scaramanga just started his machine shop, but that's fine because he's gonna go double starport and probably he's gonna start making raids. Or maybe he'll make battle cruisers. How crazy would that be?
It'd be almost as crazy as making Ultralisks in ZVZ. What a retard. No, that'd be bad. I don't know, man. I just like Ultralisks. They're
You know
so
what's
cool.
a lot of people don't think about is in TVT, if somebody goes mass Wraith, Valkyries are actually really good. So if you make like 3 Valkyries, you can kill a ton of Wraiths.
How does Wraith Micro work versus Valkyries? Are their ranges equal?
They just
or?
die.
Alrighty. Contain now finished up here. Siege mode just about to finish up for Arya though, so he should be fine. I mean for Scaramanga. So
What's
he
going
doesn't
on
really
up
need to
here?
worry about. What?
There's a starport at the top
Oh.
right.
Oh, that's so funny. You know it's better than 1 starport though. 2 star.
2. Do you know what's better than 2 starports?
1 Goliath.
3 starports. What are you talking about?
I feel like Goliaths are so good versus Wraiths though.
They're pretty good, except Wraiths have a slight mobility advantage.
Goliath's gotta walk around on those little chicken legs, man.
I love those chicken legs, though.
I
Reminds me of the
love
Mech-
how derpy they walk.
Reminds me of the Mech Warrior series.
Oh yeah.
None of you damn millennials know what I mean, though.
Mechs were so cool back when they were only like 8 polygons total.
8 polygons.
They really were. They were like 8 polygons, just like giant polygons.
I always liked the walking mech thing. Not like Gundams, but just like 2-legged, like ATSTs.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Not this AT-AT nonsense. Not Gundams. Just
I like AT-ATs too though.
yeah, well, the AT-ATs are cool, but
Dinosaurs.
anything that looks like an AT-AT is.
Dude,
it's just
AT-ATs remind me of just giant mechanical bears.
They remind me of camels.
Yeah, I could see camel too. They don't have the long neck. There should be a long neck AT-AT. That'd be super awesome, man.
Oh yeah, I guess. Yeah, they don't really have a long neck. Oh, okay, so Scaramanga went to the top right with an SCV. I presume he was gonna build a command center up there, but he scouted the starport.
Yeah, well, I mean, he has a SCV on the the 3 o'clock as well. So I think he's just scouting for hidden bases, maybe.
Yeah, you kind of got
Reports?
to in TVT. Because in TVT, you're going to be building a lot more expansions, and so getting a hidden one can be a good way to just kind of
Get a massive
that
early
going.
economic advantage. I think the whole hidden bases thing in Brood War is so funny because they came from StarCraft 2, right? So like no one does that in StarCraft 2. It like almost never happens. I don't really know why, but for some reason in Brood War, hidden bases are just so much more powerful. I think it's because Defender's advantage is so much more powerful in Brood War than it is in StarCraft 2. But I was like totally disillusioned. Like I would find hidden bases all the time, and I would just get so mad. I was like, "You cheesy fucker, this is terrible." But then I realized it's kind of like a not a abnormal thing to happen in Brood War. So getting on the map and scouting like that proactively is really important. Like it's pretty nifty that he found this little starport up here.
Well, there's certain times when you can kind of
Feel a
kind of
disturbance in the force.
you can kind of think to yourself, okay, based on what I know, he should have X amount of stuff at this time in the game, and if he doesn't, well,
And
then
something's going on.
something's going on. Like that's usually how you can kind of tell that there's carriers if you're playing TVP.
God, watching race kill workers is so hilarious, especially SCVs. These 4 take 3 volleys to kill a single SCV. I realized in versus 1-on-1, you almost don't even need to worry about the single wraith that comes in a ZVT because you just make more drones, and it takes so long for the race to kill like any significant number of drones. It's almost not impactful.
I don't think you should lose drones, but
it's more about how much damage they can do to your overlords. But it is almost hilarious how little damage they do versus ground.
Drones are pretty weak, though.
Yeah. 5 shots from a single.
Well, Scaramanga is doing a good job, keeping Arya on Arya's side of the map. So it basically, yeah, he's just, getting a little bit heavy on the minerals there, but otherwise, well, Scaramanga's, he's got the right side of the map basically to himself.
Yeah, I mean, he's been doing a pretty darn good job of keeping his race active too, and getting a little snipes here and there, and just being, using them to be aware of where his opponent's army is and everything as well. A lot of times when you're watching lower level players, you'll see like these harassment units when they get their like initial attack done, you just kind of sit around for a little while, and not get any value. But I thought that he did a pretty good job controlling his race and getting all the information and all the advantage he could out of him. That was
nice.
kind of a sick mind hit.
I'm not really. I would imagine that trade would help Scaramanga, because if they trade armies, since Scaramanga has the economy advantage, if they trade, he's gonna come out ahead.
Yeah,
but
it was 4 vultures for 2 tanks.
Yeah, he lost. But the weird thing is Scaramanga had like way more tanks and still traded, so I don't. It wasn't an even trade, but at the same time, he can kind of afford to have that loss because he's already replaced those tanks on the
5 bases. Yeah. 3 machine shops so far. He's gonna be able to pump those tanks out super fast.
Or wraiths, because he's getting 2 more starports.
I mean, when you're on 5 bases, you can afford to do both.
So where is his... Oh, there's his science facility. Nothing
How do you
attached.
feel about this, though?
How do
I mean, I
feel?
don't think that it's because I don't think it's like terrible to get these bases down, especially like it's definitely a good thing to have them down and have small numbers of workers mining from them. But there's no way that you can really effectively mine from 5 bases at any
Okay,
given
so
time, and he still has a significant portion
here's
of
the thing
minerals and
about
gas that is
TBT.
in that.
In TBT, you're going to be struggling to have a lot of gas. So getting the gas early and often is good. So he doesn't really need a lot on the minerals, he just needs the gas.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you can see his mineral bank is already falling pretty quickly now that he's on 5 gas. Although he does. This is so weird in Brood War where you send guys to like a refinery and then like they just kind of sit there. Like if you look at the 12 o'clock,
Yeah, I
you
saw
just
it.
got these 2 guys we sent there, and then now just realize that they're not mining. I think it's so funny that they do that though. So weird.
That doesn't usually happen unless
Like you send it before it's finished.
Yeah.
But yeah, the tank count is significantly lower for Arya, unfortunately.
GT1 says, what a godly casting duo. I kind of agree. I think I make it a little bit more human, though.
Yeah, I'm pretty much just a casting robot, unfortunately. No personality whatsoever.
He's pretty much the god. I'm just here for the ride.
TT1 though, definitely a chat god, I feel like.
TT1 is like more valuable to Canada than their prime minister.
You mean meek little Justin Trudeau?
I like to call him Justin Cosplay Trudeau. That's his nickname.
Why do you call him Justin Cosplay Trudeau? Enlighten me.
Have you seen his many he likes to do what is it, like, it's kind of like role playing, but like there's like a picture of him as a musketeer, him as yeah,
that's dope.
like he's got all kinds of different costumes that he's played as. I don't care what anybody thinks, he's probably the most handsome world leader.
Oh yeah. For sure. Although, I think our president's by far the most creative. This is such a incredibly convincing, performance art piece that he's doing right now.
It is, it's like, it's uncanny.
Yeah.
Like,
very convincing.
Like, I almost want to believe he actually is the president. It's like West Wing levels of acting.
I've never watched West Wing, but I hear it's pretty good. On par with like the godly quality of the last Star Wars movie. How did you feel about that movie, by the way? I know it's probably one of your favorite movies of all time, right?
Which one?
Well, Solo, I guess, for one.
Oh, I
didn't
watch Solo.
The Last Jedi, of course.
I didn't watch Solo.
I know you're a huge fan of The Last Jedi, though, right? You can't stop raving about it.
It's actually a really good film, and a lot of people don't realize is that there's a lot of intricacies going on in that movie that just make it, that most people miss on the first viewing. They watch it the first time and they're like, I didn't get it. But if you really take the time to watch the movie and understand the message, then you're gonna watch the movie and come away with like, you're gonna be like, whoa, that movie was way better than I thought it was.
I think you're really overestimating people. I feel like most people are just not. This is like some some Kubrick level shit right here. Okay.
I wrote some
Like,
blogs about it. You can check out
my.
my famous TL blogs, and
Yeah.
I actually wrote a couple. I think I did. Did I do 1 or 2 rants? But I think I did 2 different rants about how good this movie was.
You know, speaking of good though, I'm actually very impressed with how well Arya's doing in this situation right now. Actually up on supply in Scaramanga despite being behind a ton of bases. Like his fourth, like relatively recently came down here. Like it definitely wasn't anywhere near as quick.
A couple things are contributing to this. First thing that's contributing to it, obviously, is the decision to go all wraiths has definitely hurt him because he's lost quite a few wraiths. I don't mind people going wraith tank. I don't personally think it's that great of a composition, but I can definitely see where people would find the mobility of the wraiths to be appealing. Although I would prefer that he went drop ships, but there's a little bit more micro involved in it. However, the second part is he just doesn't have a lot of production, and it has a lot to do with how his base is laid out, which means there's not a lot of extra room for I guess you could fit a column of factories to the right of those 3 there.
No, because the tanks would get stuck then in between the factories. No,
they wouldn't get stuck. You just wouldn't add machine shops to them. They'd be
So for vultures or Goliaths.
Yeah, they'd be Goliaths.
Yeah, I mean, he has room for another machine shop right above that one on the left there, but that's pretty much it.
I would like to see Arya take the top left though, and then take his gas at the whatchamacallit. But Terran does take up a lot of room with their buildings, so at some point you do have to start building production at another main base.
Yeah, I would like him to abandon the Wraith plan though, because I mean he has seen that he's really just getting absolutely rolled in all these fights. Like he should have. Oh my gosh, and some tanks just getting destroyed here at the natural as well. Scaramanga has just been taking like the least favorable fights that he possibly could, almost getting just totally decimated every time that there's an engagement. I feel like maybe a switch of gears could have potentially helped. You know, in the top right especially, he had plenty of room for additional factories.
Actually, just having production at the top right would have saved him the whole game. Like literally, that even with all the wraiths being lost and everything, he just put like factories and starports or both you could do. He'd be A-okay. You could do a split map game.
I don't know if I would even go for starports. I mean, there were so many Goliaths on the map, like, and
eventually you do want to go for in TBT. You do eventually want to go for starports because in TBT, like if you get enough battle cruisers, the only thing that counters them is more battle cruisers.
Yeah, but I mean, he had 5 starports in his main already, right? He didn't really need to go like 7 to 9 starports. I don't. Do you really need that many for when you're going BCs? You just like do a hard switch with like 9, so you just all of a sudden have a giant BC army.
Yeah, that's kind of how you gotta do it because the battle cruiser is built so slowly.
Right.
That if you have like 5 battle cruisers, it's pretty much worthless. So you really got to you have to make sure you have a lot of battle cruisers, so that if they attempt to like go Goliath against you, you can just roll the Goliaths.
Yeah, it's too slow for them to pump out like a sufficient number. Gotcha.
But normally
I mean, it makes sense to. You typically have such a huge bank in this matchup. Like you really can throw down tons of production facilities.
Well, it does. You do have to take a lot of bases before you do it. Otherwise, you could, if you run out of money, because you have to reproduce. Like you'll lose some battle cruisers here and there, but like I said, they're pretty good against everything. Like they'll sweep through Valkyries and Wraiths and pretty much every anti-air thing. Turrets.
Obviously, the natural counter must be ghosts with lockdown, right? Like, I mean, come on, gotta have that. Wouldn't that be dope? Just like ghosts with lockdown and just like one nuke, like a giant like 14 battlecruiser army. Oh man,
that would be really good. That'd be really hard to do, but yeah, that could work.
I'd really love to see that in an in-game in the CPL. I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna start hitting up all the Terrans, dude. Guys, when someone goes BC,
if somebody does that, that would be awesome. So the way to do that would be, you have to know for sure they're going battle cruisers. Then you have to get cloak. You'd have to hide the fact that you're getting ghosts. And so your opponent can't know you're going ghosts. Your opponent can't, because if you go ghosts, you know, they're gonna be scanning everywhere, and so you can't get scanned. But if you do it, you get yourself like 14 well, let's say 12 ghosts, and then you start cloning lockdown onto the battle cruisers. Then the ghosts have to be cloaked because the battle cruisers will slaughter them all.
Oh yeah, but as soon as you hit the lockdowns, they're good to go.
Yeah, as soon as you hit the lockdowns, you immediately nuke, and then you win the game.
Yeah, see, dude, ending life, right? Wouldn't that be dope? You just kill them all with a single nuke. How demoralizing would that be, man? Be like Archon Toilet from StarCraft 2 back in the day. You just kill their entire army. Oh, it'd be so cool.
I would be so sad.
Would you though? I wouldn't even be sad when I lose. Whenever
so sad.
I get cheesed out with nukes, right? Because like you can nuke rush on lower levels, and there's this one guy who always nuke rushes me, and anytime I lose to it, I'm just like, yeah, that was great. I don't even care. I really don't even want the ladder points at this point. I gotta see a nuke.
Of course, the thing about nukes is that they're really not cost efficient on like buildings and stuff and against other units. So, because you have to pay up to get them.
Oh yeah, you need all kinds of tech for it.
Yeah, so you gotta get the covert ops. You gotta get the you have to get the you don't have to get cloak, but
you kind of do.
You kind of have to. It's not necessary to actually drop the nuke, but to keep the ghosts alive, it's pretty important. Another thing you can do is you can float you can dematrix your ghost and then float an engineering bay over the ghost,
yeah.
so they can't.
So you can target them.
Can't target fire it.
Alrighty, so Arya decided to get a little aggressive here, and it's going to work out pretty well for him if he waits. Well, I was going to say if he waits until the Marines get over here, but Arya not paying attention, taking a lot of damage from these SCVs and vultures. But yeah, I mean, he's not dead here.
He's not good.
But that's unfortunate. Marines
Did you
and
say
reinforcement vultures now. Unfortunate.
That could be a real word.
Got a lazy millennial vulture just chilling in the back here, pretending like he's doing work. Just collecting the grade from the group project while he sits at home,
Where he at?
pretending to do his role.
Millennials.
I know. Just a waste. It's a waste of a generation.
This is good.
Man.
It's a really good vulture
Ton of
raid.
damage done here. Lots of SCVs go down. He's even still on the vulture count here, and this expansion is going to essentially not going to need volume value for a while. I would like to see him cancel this SCV. I don't know. Well, reinforcement's not coming though. Defender's advantage really good in this game, man.
He's like, I'm getting this SCV out. Gotta follow the journey of this SCV. So I'm gonna stay on this SCV throughout the whole game and see if it was worth it.
Yeah, CTC, but what have you done with your life, man? All you do is sit at home, play Brood War, and talk about Brood War all day. Come on, man. See, if this was your parents' generation, you'd already own like 3 homes, have like 6 kids. Have built a legacy, being oppressing minorities with your social mobility. I'm not sure how you could really do that.
Oh, it's
Directly,
easy.
at least.
They can't
but
move
do you
out of their
own
neighborhoods
3
because they're too
homes?
quote-unquote poor. I don't know why they're so poor. I mean, they're the ones selling all the drugs, right?
I love how every time we cast together, we end up going like uncomfortable directions.
So let's talk about
That's my excuse, though.
menstruation. Menstruation. It should be called womenstration.
I was just gonna say that. Oh my god!
I know. I'm inside your head.
Bro, I want to be inside more than just your head, if you know what I mean.
I want to be inside of you.
I was gonna say I want to be inside your home and not have to pay rent, because I'm a millennial. That's what we do.
You can live rent-free inside my head.
What's it like in there? Do you have like a kitchenette that I could use?
Do you have a what?
Kitchenette. I'm a millennial. I don't need a
Kitchenette?
whole kitchen. Yeah. I'm just gonna
Is
eat
that
a
like a
dinette.
baby kitchen?
Yeah, it's like a mini kitchen, you know? It's like a you know, like a 2-burner stove and like a microwave. I just need, you know, all I need is to be able to make my Easy Mac.
Oh, I need like kitchen with an island in the center, a grill, gas stove, plenty of counter space for all my appliances. Oven, microwave, lots of space for pots, pans, cooking, ingredients, utensils.
Deep fryer. Wow, it's getting a little anti-American here. I see what you're saying, Chava. You're calling us fat? Is that what's going on here? All bodies are beautiful, man.
Well, that's debatable.
This is such a strange engagement. Like, the way that the units are like trying to travel around this like little donut-shaped terrain here.
That's the eternal struggle of playing Aztec. Units want to go down the little ramp, but then you really have to go down the big ramp.
Yeah, because like the larger units block the pathing, and then the units just decide to go down the large ramp anyways.
Sometimes.
Do they really? Why do
Yeah.
they have deep fryers?
Wait, what?
No, it's like Chava says apparently most Belgian households have deep fryers.
I got a deep fryer.
Do you really?
Yeah, I'm not even
What do
Belgian.
you fry? Are you sure though? You could
Chicken,
totally
fish,
be Belgian.
chicken, fish, pork.
Twinkies?
No, I don't. That's. Eh.
Oh, I'm not San Diegan. I gotcha. Or actually, I think the deep fried Twinkies originated in Santa Cruz, right? So it'd be Santa Cruzian. That doesn't roll off the tongue anywhere near as well as San Diegan.
I've never heard anybody say San Diegan.
Why does everyone have a deep fryer? What the hell? What's wrong with me? You know what bothers me too is you guys are all like healthy individuals, generally speaking. I've seen most of you guys pretty normal BMIs, but here I am without a deep fryer and I'm the fat one. Maybe I just need to start eating deep fried foods. Maybe that's the issue. I eat all these fucking vegetables and fucking meat and shit.
Deep fried
Just be
vegetables.
eating deep fried starches.
That's really the way to do it.
Yeah. They say that before the fat-free scare that was perpetuated on our people by the sugar industry, everyone was healthier. Maybe that's the deal.
That was so stupid. It's still so stupid.
Yeah, I remember when everything was fat-free. Like everyone was eating fat-free shit.
Like fat, like if you eat fats, it doesn't magically turn into fat.
Into fat, yeah. It gets
not how your body.
down.
Not how your body. There's a Louis
Fats
C.K.
get
joke.
broken down into simple sugars.
I
and
still
then
like Louis C.K.
reassembled
by
as
the way.
fat. I think the way that he handled his scandal was pretty graceful.
I think he did the right thing.
Yeah. I mean, he immediately come out and was like, "Yeah, I was fucked up, and I was shitty, and I feel bad about it." Like, I'm not saying it excuses it or whatever, but I think it's a lot better than.
I don't
the
think.
way that-
Yeah, I don't. I think it's.
I think it's the only way to handle that situation, right? Like the only correct way to handle that situation.
Yeah, but if you genuinely don't believe you're in the wrong, well, let's zoom out for this engagement.
Oh my god, I love the zoom. A lot of bird lore purists kind of hate when observers use zoom, but I think it's so dope. StarCraft is so much more watchable when you're like a couple of ticks out of the norm.
I'm the most like probably one of the most abrasive people about changing stuff, and I like the zoom out feature for observing. Like I don't even want to give people map vision of like the map. Like you gotta explore
You're really not? Are you like one of those people? Because I know that a lot of StarCraft 2 people get really upset because no matter what they say, if it's a change, it's like, no, you can't do that. And I remember like seeing a thread about that. Like, can you guys just make it so you can see the map silhouette just in the minute? Please, that's all we want. Like, we don't want to have to memorize all the maps. Like, especially when they rotate the map. We've never played these maps. Just show us the map. And Brood War community was just like, fuck you! Get out of my game, StarCraft 2 people!
You know what? I didn't use those words, but I might have. See,
one of those people?
I'm probably one of the people in the thread, yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. That's great. We have like a 2 HP tank in the middle of his army, by the way, and I just feel like I wish that these would like be on fire and show the damage, because it's just so hilarious to me that these guys are riding around in a tank like a drone could sneeze on and this thing would fucking explode. Like, imagine being the Marines that were in here. Just driving around.
I don't think Marines
drive
drive
like one
tanks.
good tire. No, they do. The only reason why I know this is because I was watching another cast and someone was explaining to me, kind of
actually, yeah, maybe.
the reason.
What if
apparently
okay,
the official canon reason.
listen. What
Tell
if
me.
what if fire bats are driving tanks?
Well, what if fire bats are just a specialization of a marine though? Right? Like they're still part of like the Terran Marine Corps, right?
Yeah, that
They're
makes
just
sense.
weirdos. But so I don't remember what I was watching. I think it was like the Pylon show or like some other cast or something. But apparently the reason, the Blizzard's official reason for why you no longer have to research siege mode in StarCraft 2 is that the Terran Dominion decided that they don't need toilets in their tanks anymore. So they removed the toilets out of siege tanks, and all of the siege tank drivers have to wear like these like colostomy like high-tech Terran diapers. Pretty ridiculous.
What? That doesn't make
That's
sense.
official. That's official canon. They took the toilets out, so that way they didn't need to make any additions to the siege tanks. They just come out of the factory now with siege mode.
Why does that?
I haven't checked it. Look, I haven't checked it. I haven't checked it for veracity, but I do recall it being from someone like a trusted StarCraft 2 person. And honestly, like, think about this. Like, would you really put your reputation out on the line for such an obnoxiously ridiculous explanation? Like, who could even come up with that? Right? That had to have been
Blizzard.
a team of people, because people are.
Blizzard
I was
would
gonna say people.
yeah.
People are officially worse in teams, right? Like, the more people that get into a group, the more retarded the ideas are gonna be. So, I feel like it wasn't like an individual caster making this shit up, right? It's just like actual people being dumb.
No, they were in a room and they were laughing and being like, "Oh, just make that the reason."
Some fucking corporate guy was like walking down the hall. He's like, "Oh yeah, that makes tons of sense. Put it in the manual."
No, the corporate guy was like, I don't know if we should do that." And they're like, "No. It's funny. People will like it. They'll love it."
David Kim wanted the game to be easier. You know, it was kind of funny. The first time I met David Kim, or I mean, I didn't meet David Kim. All right, well, I did in a way. So the first time I met Jaeyoon, Machine introduced him as David Kim, and I was like, "Huh, you don't look like what I thought you looked like." And like Jaeyoon, I don't know if he like realized what I was saying or whatever, but that must have been really confusing because Jaeyoon's name is David Kim, right? And I just assumed I was at like a StarCraft thing. I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, hi. I didn't know you played Brood War." Like, I felt really dumb afterwards when he started competing. I was like, "Oh, that's Jaeyoon. Okay, got it."
I didn't even know his name was David Kim.
Yeah. So I was really confused, and I felt
what an embarrassing
even
name.
worse.
That'd be like being named Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah, right? Like, you get introduced to Jeffrey Dahmer. And they're like, "Oh,
this is Jeffrey Dahmer."
But you see where the confusion comes from. But I'm half Asian, and I pride myself on being able to tell Asian people apart, because a lot of people seem to have that problem. And so when I was introduced to Jaeyoon as David Kim, I was like, "Wait, what? Does this make me racist?"
We're gonna play a game later. We're gonna play a game later. It's called Guess the Nationality.
I'm pretty good at that one. I can usually tell.
We're gonna throw down
types of Asians.
No, I'm not gonna throw down. I'm gonna.
No, you have to. No, it's too late.
I can't. Somebody has to pick the. Somebody has to pick the people, and it's gotta be accurate.
Are you really gonna renege right now on this?
Am I gonna do what?
I asked if you were going to renege on this.
Am I gonna read what?
Go back on your word. You're gonna renege on it.
Read what? Type that out. Type it out. I don't. This might be a word that I don't even know.
Really?
Just type it.
Here. That's actually how you spell it, okay?
Okay, yeah, I was like, I don't
It's
think I know
also
this.
there's also a renege. It's basically the same thing, but it's a card term that means to back out of an agreement.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I don't play
so
cards, so... Yeah,
there's
okay.
there's a lot of
What is
lot
like
of
what's the origin of the word? Like, what is it based
I, don't-
off of?
I have no
Or
idea, but I
is it
think it's so
short for
funny that
something?
there's a lot of American colloquialisms that sound like they're racist, but they're not. Like like a lot of people think coon's age is like a racial thing, but it's actually that like
No,
back in the
there's this...
day
Okay,
stuff were retarded
do you know
and they
this
thought
word?
coons like lived forever. Yeah, I do. I don't know the origins of that word.
I don't remember.
But yeah, I just I think Coon's
So
age
it
is
looked
maybe
like
the funniest one.
Arya kind of punched through there and got up the ramp, but Sieged and the SCVs got on top of the tanks, and so he had a really good opportunity just to mess that base the heck up. But alas, a couple wraiths are gonna see this command center.
Dude, this is the best song in the entire StarCraft. It goes so hard, man. I go work out to this song. I'm assuming you're getting Terran 3 team member.
I got the music off.
Oh, what? What? It's just our voices? Come on! How are you supposed to get hype without the freaking Terran music? This shit is so dope.
Just imagine Terran music. The worst music is Protoss music.
Really? I'm not a fan of the Zerg. Well, I'm not a fan of the Zerg.
The Zerg is just like and
yeah,
it's
it's
like
very
guitar
atmospheric.
solo. But
it's not like
yeah.
Terran's just got this like really grindy, like industrial, like scrappy sound to it. So it's got very rhythmic.
I like industrial. Like, why did that music stop?
Being
stop.
made?
It just stopped.
Because only douchebags talked about it.
Oh my gosh.
Like, think about it. When was the last time you heard someone describe anything as industrial? It's just by like some like douchebag hipster wearing torn jeans, like ratty flannel jacket. Like,
I haven't heard anybody talk about industrial. Except like, yes, 9 Inch Nails still makes a lot of stuff. I like pretty much everything they do. Unless, of course, they start...
It's not lagging on my end, so I think it's gotta be Nina's up, right?
It's not lagging for me.
Socialist Canadian.
Could be.
See, if you lived in a meritocracy, only the best internet would exist. That's how that works.
Oh,
all right, well, pretty powerful Doom push here, ending the game pretty expediently.
So that's 1-1. That was a really good game at Arya, though. It just felt like he had a lot of area to well, two things. His push didn't really do the damage that it needed to do, and then he had a lot of his own area to defend, and it was kind of spread out over all this vast terrain. And of course, if you're just joining us, this is the Coach Pupil League, hosted by Laser Snipe and P-Son. And you are listening to the voice of me.
Yeah, and me too.
And of course, if the melodious voice that is joining me is DocHoliday. We're casting
I
the
feel like your voice
second
is melodious. Very comforting. It's like a lullaby.
I've heard that. It's not, it's very, people say, you have such a soft voice. It's just, so we got, so we're on game 3 now. The series is tied, this series between these two players is tied 2-2. Or not 2-2, that would specify, that's impossible.
That's impossible!
Or actually, it would be in best of 5. It's best of 3. So yeah, I temporarily went insane for a second.
¿Estás en los drogas? ¿Por qué estás tomando drogas? Oh, beef stroganoff. That's another thing that I haven't had in a long time. The last time I had beef stroganoff, it was in a bag.
In a what? A bag?
Yeah, well, look, okay, I should have probably prefaced that a little bit better. I was backpacking.
Was it plastic bag?
No, well, it was like, well, kind of. It was like,
Ziploc bag?
No. So you can buy these, I think it's called Mountain House or something.
What if,
make,
okay, listen. You go, you're gonna go hiking, you're like, dude, I'm gonna go hiking, I need some beef stroganoff, like, somebody's making
Dude, I know! It's such a rich meal for being out in the wilderness.
Like, dude, I'm gonna be hiking, but I really want some beef stroganoff, and they're like, okay, do you want to just eat some now? And you're like, no, I want it later. It's like, well, I don't have any containers, and you just like pull out like a grocery store bag,
yeah.
Grocery store.
It's all like leaking sauce the whole trip.
No, it's a plastic bag, no holes in it. And you're like, you check it for holes, and just like, and he just takes like the ladle and just spoons a bunch of it into the plastic bag. And you're like, just give me another spoonful, and he spoons another. And you're like, all right, that's good. And then. And you're like, you can't tie the thing, so you have to like just carry the bag with you by your side.
That's a way to get eaten by a bear, for sure. Oh, man. Bears are pretty dope, by the way. If you're ever out on a hiking trip, like, it's a constant worry. Pretty great. We had a close encounter with a bear one time, and me and my friend were out backpacking. Well, it was actually me and like 3 other friends, but we were backpacking. And it was at night, and so 2 of my friends go off to find a place where we're gonna quote unquote call like the bathroom or whatever, right? And this is at night, and so all of a sudden we hear them run. They're running back, screaming, and then we hear one of our friends scream out in pain. And what ended up happening? Apparently, they saw a bear, ran back to camp, and one of them ran into a trail sign and knocked it over. It was pretty great. It was a great time, and yeah. So later on in the camping trip, though. We're hiking up the trail still. My friend runs around the corner and then comes back with his backpack above his head, like holding it up and walking slowly backwards. And we all freaked out because we thought it was the same bear, but apparently he was just fucking with us. But so, pro tip: if you see a bear and you're backpacking, grab your backpack, put it over your head because it makes you look huge, and the bear will freak out. Hopefully. Although if I was a bear, I don't think that would scare me.
Bears are scared of human beings because, no ARACs this game.
That's why, as a matter of fact.
There's no ARACs this game, so that's why. Bears are scared, they got shook. Actually, they're doing very identical things. Except
there ain't no such thing as a
Scaramanga's got a vulture. Arya's actually got a tank. Arya's been going vulture first almost every game, and now he's going tank first. Jesus.
Whoa, mixing it up. It's like he knows more than one build. absolutely unseen before. This guy is way too high for the CPL. 2 builds? Are you kidding me right now? Should be
Bad.
illegal. Excuse me, Laser Snipe, are you still in the chat?
Laser snipe.
We need to pause
We
this
got-
replay real quickly. This is unethical.
How are you allowing people this high level into this league? It's not fun anymore.
I don't even know one build, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know any builds. I don't even know how to build a unit.
I don't even know what a unit is. Is that a sexual thing?
Yeah, it definitely is. I'll teach you all about my unit.
Okay, we'll do that after.
Okay. Promise?
I'm not gonna renege on this.
Oh, that's too good. Yeah.
Oh, Laser Snipe's like, what up? We're saying that Arya, him knowing 2 builds is too high level for this league. Actually, it went 2 fact last game.
That's why you're B team, Doc. Wow! Wow! Hey, Laser Snipe, how about we 1v1 after this? How about that?
Oh, Snipe.
Catch me outside, dog. I'll take you out. I'm gonna team kill you, dog. Coming here talking all that mess. Gosh. So the admins are rude.
I know, just...
That's why this league has just been a dumpster fire. Ugh.
One thing I think Arya should be doing is send these racks to go scout. Just kind of
Yeah,
like,
I would
you
say
know,
that's a pretty good idea.
Scaramanga's got the barracks just kind of floating in there. You can kind of see the factory
Ain't that the
count.
funniest thing, though? I think it's so funny that these buildings can float. Look at it. There ain't no fire. How's that building floating right now?
It's anti-gravity pads.
That's not even science. That's just magic.
It's hover pads.
What even is a hover pad? What is that even made of? How would explain? How would you go ahead and construct a hover pad?
Well, it hasn't been made yet, so that's where the science part comes in.
Well, maybe you should make it then. Otherwise, it's just magic.
Well, I am gonna make it.
Please do.
I just gotta do the science first, and then it's
Well, until then, it's witchcraft, and I don't think Jesus is very happy with that.
That's why I decided not to read the Harry Potter books. 'Cause
Oh,
gotta be straight with Jesus.
I'm glad you're a pure and virtuous woman.
Oh yeah, and usually mines aren't that good by themselves in TVT. If they're in front of something, like, oh no, the vultures are gonna get in!
Oh my lord! How this is just an unconscionable violation of Scaramanga's base. I mean, Arya's base right now.
Can I get a mine?
I don't even understand. I don't know why anyone would let this happen to their innocent little SUVs. This is just
Eric
terrible
Andre
damage.
shoots him.
Terrible damage.
Just imagine
Oh, my lord.
Scaramanga is Eric Andre. Arya is Hannibal Buress. Eric Andre shoots him and goes, why would Arya do this?
Oh my god. Oh man.
That did not do as much damage as I thought. That amount of vultures,
Yeah. That was quite a number.
I thought that was gonna absolutely wreck his base.
Yeah, unfortunately, the SCV kills didn't even really outweigh the cost of the vultures. I would almost say that was I wouldn't say a terrible trade, but it definitely wasn't cost effective mineral for mineral.
B-ball only Gosus. And of course, both players are getting their command centers at the gas bases in the top left and bottom right, respectively. The mineral base is not quite as important for its TBT, and the amount of gas that you need is top priority here. And
Yeah, Match
Arya
Point does have a pretty awkward third gas. It's very far away from the natural expansion.
I don't care for it, but it does help. It's oh, I almost missed these tanks down here.
This is very nice. Yeah, this is a very nice tank position, getting a little bit of damage on the SCV line with the natural.
The reason this was so nice, though, is because he pulled Arya's attention down to the big platform, and then he sent those tanks there. Did a little bit of extra damage. So now you can see Arya's starting to trail a little bit in terms of population. It's got 56 out of 94.
Yeah, he's been doing a lot of aggressive moves here to get some SCV damage here done as well. So I think he's been doing a pretty decent job. I mean, like, again, you know, like, they weren't the most effective Vulture run-bys, but, you know, following up with some more SCV damage with the tanks and things like that has definitely put Arya behind a little bit on the SCV count, I believe.
Is there a way to see their unit counts?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Thanks, Blizzard.
But I just eyeballed it. Yeah, you know, if there's one thing that I think StarCraft Remastered could do with is the insanely competently designed observer options for StarCraft 2. They have pretty much everything at their disposal. And
yeah,
I do like the counter that pops up.
I would think, like, they would just take, like, everything that's good from StarCraft 2's Obs mode and just kind of slam it into this, but no. But yeah. Also, there was, prior to Brood War Remastered, can't talk, there was a third-party launcher called MCA Launcher, which, and of course there's Chaos Launcher, which MCA Launcher kind of piggybacked off of, which provided players with information. So, like, you could watch games as an observer with MCA Launcher. You could see what people are building. You could see how many units they had. You could see a lot of stuff that, and by the way, this is one guy in Poland who programmed this.
All by himself. Although he didn't do all the plugins himself, he did do the launcher and a lot of it.
He didn't make all the plugins, but he made the launcher, yes. So, I don't know, just, I feel like, either Blizzard, there's two things that Blizzard could do. They could make, their game more customizable for, the player community, which I think they definitely should do. Like, for example, you know, if you liked Shield Battery, for example, you could use Shield Battery as your API. Something like that, you know?
Oh yeah, Shield Battery is actually really dope.
And, so that's one option. The second option would be to do everything themselves, which they obviously don't have the resources for. And so if they do everything by themselves, everything's going to be done really, really slowly. And that's very frustrating to the whole player base is very frustrated with this right now. As far as like latency stuff getting fixed, everyone's like that took too long to fix, and like input issues are taking a while to fix, and I think that Blizzard having control is smart. There's a good vulture surround here. Well, maybe it wasn't. We'll see in a second.
Oof.
From a business perspective, being able to control the intellectual property is important for Blizzard as a company, but as but as a game goes, like it feels very very underdeveloped. Like as far as the community project stuff that existed before Remastered
was vastly superior. I mean, like there was already a fix in for like the issue with the mouse and the keyboard input at the same time stuff, and and having to go back is kind of frustrating. I think that one thing they could do is they could, give the tools to people, but then not implement them on ladder without vetting their work first. You know what I mean? In like either in an unofficial capacity or just like having their devs like actually test the community's work, and eventually like create like I just think that there could be more symbiosis between the community and Blizzard than there is right now. Just in general, content creation with on the technological side.
I have a not an unfounded opinion, but it's just an opinion because I don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but I have a little bit of
a suspicion. Would you say?
No, I have a little bit of experience with knowing what happens behind the scenes when it comes to project development, and you do have the creative people and the programmers and stuff, but then the people who actually have final say are, the people who actually are going to be making the money from the actual content itself, which would be StarCraft, the intellectual property. And so with MCA launcher, nobody had to go through a board of executives to produce that.
Right.
It was just something that they made. And
this is a pretty cute little drop here.
It's been doing,
Tank's getting a lot of efficiency so far.
Really, he's been doing some really effective drops.
Ramp is doing a pretty good job so far. Yeah, I honestly I like how Scaramanga is always seeming to take the initiative when it comes to these TBT games. Arya be
so
on the
a lot
back
of yeah. One of the things I should mention is you'll notice that Arya has a lot of minerals, and it's not necessarily because he's macroing bad. The gas, I would say, is part of having high gas in TVT is not a good sign, but having high minerals is kind of normal, but normally you spend minerals on lots of turrets just to make sure that those, when you see this big drop coming out the top.
Yeah, the north.
Yeah, so stuff like this, they have to drop at you would have to drop at the edge as opposed to dropping right at the interior of the base, because there's a turret wall.
Yeah,
and now this is actually a really good spot.
Yeah. The army's gonna have to come through these factories and everything to really get up here and stop this. I really like how Scaramanga plays this matchup very aggressively, though. He expands aggressively and then he attacks aggressively to cover his expansions. He's been doing a very good job, just in general, playing these games. I always find it much more interesting when you don't have the player being so turtly.
Last game I thought, obviously we know that Arya didn't win, but if I had not known that Arya lost the series, I would have looked at that last game and been like, oh, Arya's gonna win. Because last game Arya was doing so well.
Yeah. Well, Scaramanga continuing to drop in the main here and pulling this main army back all the way back into the main base has just allowed Scaramanga to get away with murder on the economic side. I mean, he's got both the 12 and the 6 o'clock basic here. He's going to be able to lock those down for quite a long time if he continues this drop aggression up.
And Arya's APM is actually getting pretty low. He might actually be just getting tired.
Yeah. I mean, dealing with
so
constant harass like this can be super exhausting. It's so much more difficult than just having like your standard, like, you know, like fights out in the open and stuff like that. Every 5 seconds you're like, oh man, I gotta go back to my main again.
Well, also there's the fact that he's playing you know, a series that's gonna go for at least 3 games.
Yeah.
And each game is gone for quite a ways. Like, this is a good attack from Arya, but having you know, just, well, now I'm not so sure because he's attacking.
Though, is very strong.
He's trying to go up onto the high ground, and he had siege onto the high ground. And
he's got a bunch of tanks derping around on the low ground, getting stuck on the corners of the ramp there as well.
Okay, so without that push being successful, Arya has to like remake that whole army, and so he only has, well, I shouldn't say only has, but he has, what is it, it's 9, 10, 11 factories? Yeah, he's only got 11 factories, what a noob.
Only 3 machine shops too. I mean, I feel like, especially with the amount of gas that he has, he could really afford to throw on a couple more. And really crank out the tank
by
numbers.
the way, if he listens, having 11 factories is perfectly okay. Just before, the factory count was a little bit light, but of course, as you know, pardon me, Velociraptor, having the playing Terran, you have to be really ergonomically sound with how you place your buildings, otherwise you run out of space.
These siege ups just been brutal. Using that eBay to get vision.
Fortunately, there's oh, here's a couple battle cruisers.
Yes, ma'am. There's 4 starports in the main right now.
Oh, it says GG.
There we go.
I guess.
I think he was outplayed positionally.
Yeah. I mean, Scaramanga did have the 12 and 6 o'clock positions. I don't know if that was I guess if you felt the game was over, it's over. That's pretty much what it boils down to, though. Like, if you...
Yeah.
Like, I can sit here and say, well, you could have done this and that, but, you know, if... The game is over once you say it's over, so...
Yeah. I mean, he definitely had quite the bank, but, I mean, I feel like he potentially was in a position where he didn't feel like he could deal with battlecruiser production. I think that's what it boiled down to, because I think as soon as he saw the BCs, he was like, all right, it's over. Because he did have 3 starports in the main, but he didn't really have any Goliaths on the map. And he most likely felt that by the time he could produce, like,
I think with the number of factories, the number of factories that he had, he could have
cranked out like a production run or so. But he was out of tanks. So that, I mean, I'm sure that definitely played a factor into it as well. You know, like it's very difficult to just go pure Goliath versus basic tank. So